Welcome back to Ferocious Education. This is Ed. Today I'm going to be talking about ZOM, Zomedica Pharmaceutical Corporations. First of all, I'm going to be looking at a 3 months period here. We can see that there was a steady growth even through the March dip. Actually, did suffer just quite a little, but it wasn't as other stocks. So there's apparently to be good amount of growth going on. So I'm going to do first. Second is 1 month, 1 day. So I'm going to be taking a quick look into different indicators, and then we're going to move on to a bit more news and a little bit more background about the company. So first things first, we're going to see that the 10 SMA and the 30 EMA are touching, which is a good sign since that's a sign of a breakout. It's still under the 200 SMA, so it's a great time to buy it. It's still considered cheaper than usual. A little bit above the 50 SMA, so that's the 50-day simple moving average, so it's a little bit more expensive than the 50-day average, but that's fine. So we're still within that range. Taking a quick look here, we can find that the MACD is signaling in a bit of growth, but that's been moving on and off for quite a bit now since around the 17th. So it's more of a bit of sideways movements. And the ADX is showing almost the exact same thing, where it jumps, stays stagnant, drops, and then jumps again. So that's a little bit of something we got to be careful of. The Williams percent R shows it's a little bit overbought, but we need to look a little bit into the day view. Average directional index suggests that there's a strong movement in the green direction. Somewhere about 30 and 40 confirms a strong movement. The unbalanced volume shows in that there's a pickup in stocks and a lot of volume coming in here. So it is quite a bit above the moving average. Quite a bit above the average. I believe the average here would be... Yeah, so it is above the moving average. So we're going to be looking at 1 month, 1 day for 5 days, 1 hour. We can see that MACD is calming down a little bit and later on, so that might suggest either a little bit of cooling in the aftermarket that might pick up or drop later on. So we need to try to figure things out. So average directional index here is 25.27, which is showing the beginning of a trend, at least the trend that we've seen today. The stock seems to be pulling back to more the neutral in terms of being oversold and overbought. Momentum seems to be really strong. However, it might still see a little bit of pullback due to momentum here being a little bit not as strong as we would like it. 10 SMA is still above the 30 EMA, but getting very close. When these two come in really close to each other, they might signal for breakout. But we're talking at very low numbers, so 0.21 and 0.22 is quite a bit for the stock. Taking a quick look into the resistance, we see that the current resistance is sitting at around 0.24, which it hasn't broke yet, and there's a current support that is sitting at 0.21, which is good to have. So that's the range you're in. Now let's take a quick look into the moving average for now. So the moving average for the stock, we can see that the stock moving average is around sitting 0.21, and it is still trading very close to the moving average that we've seen. So now that was an offering price that went to 0.144, and it should still maintain that moving average trend. Going to the trend line, you can try to look into trend line now, just counting a bit from, say, let's try to 3 months here. So I'm going to be drawing it from here since that was an offering drop. I'm going to try to get the next current support. I would say I recognize a trend line similar to this. Now, if I was to also count out this one here and try to perhaps move it over to see if that works. No, it seems that it broke in that previous trend line through the offering, and it broke a trend, and that's basically the current trend. That now the difference would be tomorrow is probably going to be seeing at least minimum is around 0.205 or 0.21, and that seems to support that's created. Now let's try to look into Fibonacci retracements quickly. Okay, so right here we're going to be doing quickly the Fibonacci retracements. Going to try to figure out what's the net current support based just on the Fibonacci retracements. Sitting around here, we can see that Fibonacci retracement support is at 0.22. So that's a good price to be as well. And so the current support is sitting between somewhere between 0.21 and 0.22. Now, going in to check a little bit in terms of the news, this company has seen a bit of news today. I'm going to use this one here in order to check for the news. So, yep, this is released today. There was the PCG research for the equity research division. Basically, they've released a bit of a PR here related to just basically in terms of about their company here, a little in terms of publication for updating reports covering like the company itself and what their future plans are. So that looks pretty good, pretty solid stuff. Not a lot of information here, but there's a few links here that you can actually see. So there is basically like here a link that is there's a bunch of links that link to the website or basically the operations of the company. So not a lot much going on in terms of just having massive news, but this company has been very active in the past and have seen a good growth for quite a bit right now. So looking quickly in 1 year, you can still see that there's a little bit of growth. Now I don't see the stock going to 0.5 per se tomorrow, for instance, but I still see a good amount of growth going on forward. The company as well, if you were to check, for instance, something like their current earnings, and that's going a little bit into fundamentals, so I don't usually look into that. But first, we're going to look into the industry peers, and we can see that the industry has been changing positively, at least in the past a little here. A lot of them as well have recovered from whatever COVID dip it has caused. Going into, for instance, stuff like revenue, I usually don't look at that unless I'm going long. But it seems to be looking good here. There is a bit of growth from year to year. This is around the quarters for at least 2020 from 2019 seems to be a good amount of growth here, but it's very limited due to COVID, but still looks quite good here. Awesome. So let me know if you have any other questions down in the comment below. Any other stocks you would like me to check out, I'll be considering it. And share, subscribe, and like. Have a good day.